My name is Fanny Price. I was a small and quiet girl. I lived in a poor house with many brothers and sisters. My father was a sailor. My mother stayed at home. We did not have much money. Our house was small and often noisy. I loved my family, but life was hard. When I was 10 years old, my mother wrote a letter to her rich sister. Her sister's name was Lady Bertram. Lady Bertram lived in a big house called Mansfield Park. She was married to Sir Thomas Bertram, a kind but serious man. They had 4 children, Tom, Edmund, Maria, and Julia. My mother asked if they could help me. She wanted me to have a better life. After some days, a letter came back. Lady Bertram said yes. Sir Thomas agreed that I could come and live with them. I was both happy and afraid. I had never gone far from home. I did not know rich people. My mother kissed me goodbye and said, "Be good, Fanny. Make us proud." I cried as I left home, but I tried to be brave. When I reached Mansfield Park, I saw a very large house. It had many windows and tall doors. Everything looked clean and beautiful. I felt small and shy. A servant showed me into the hall. Lady Bertram was sitting on a soft chair with a small dog in her lap. She looked calm and gentle. She smiled a little when she saw me. "So this is my sister's child," she said softly. Sir Thomas stood near the fire. He looked strong and serious. "You are welcome, Fanny," he said. "You must behave well and study hard." I whispered, "Yes, sir." Then I met the children. Tom was the oldest. He laughed a lot and did not care much about rules. Maria and Julia were pretty and proud. They looked at my simple dress and smiled in a strange way. Only Edmund, the second son, spoke kindly to me. He asked about my journey and if I missed home. I said yes. He smiled gently and said, "You will feel better soon." His kind voice made me feel less afraid. At first, life at Mansfield Park was not easy. I had my own small room at the top of the house. It was cold in winter and far from everyone. I was shy and often quiet at dinner. Maria and Julia liked to talk about clothes, parties, and their friends. I did not know what to say. Sometimes they forgot I was there. Lady Bertram was kind but lazy. She liked to rest on the sofa with her dog. She did not speak much. Sir Thomas was always busy with work. He wanted the children to behave well and study hard. He was strict but fair. Edmund often helped me with my lessons. He was patient and gentle. He told me about books, music, and nature. He took me on walks in the garden. He showed me the trees and flowers. "You must not feel shy," he said once. "You are part of our family now." Those words stayed in my heart. I wanted to be good and make everyone proud, but I could feel that I was different. The servants did not treat me like a real daughter of the house. When guests came, I sat quietly in a corner. Maria and Julia had fine dresses and jewelry. I wore plain clothes. Sometimes, when I made small mistakes, Mrs. Norris scolded me. She was Lady Bertram's sister and lived near Mansfield Park. She liked to tell everyone how much she helped my mother's child. But in truth, she was not kind to me. She always said, "Remember, Fanny, you are lucky to be here." Her words hurt me, but I stayed silent. I did not want to make trouble. Years passed slowly. I grew from a little girl to a young woman. I still helped Lady Bertram with small things. I read books to her or took care of her dog. Edmund went to study for the church. He wrote me kind letters and asked about my health. Maria and Julia became more proud as they grew older. Many men came to visit them. Sir Thomas hoped they would marry well. One summer, visitors came to Mansfield Park. Their names were Mr. and Miss Crawford. They were brother and sister. Mr. Henry Crawford was handsome and charming. Miss Mary Crawford was beautiful and lively. Everyone liked them at once. They came from London and spoke with confidence. Lady Bertram enjoyed their company. Tom and the girls laughed and talked with them every day. I liked Mary Crawford at first. She was kind to me and asked questions about my life, but sometimes she spoke in a way that made me feel small. She said I was too quiet and too simple. Edmund liked her very much. I could see it in his eyes. He smiled when she talked and walked with her in the garden. I felt strange inside my heart. I did not understand that feeling then, but it made me sad. Henry Crawford spent much time with Maria and Julia. He liked to flirt and make them laugh. Both sisters liked him too, but Maria was already promised to another man. His name was Mr. Rushworth. He was rich but not very clever. Maria was not in love with him, but she liked his money and his fine house. Sir Thomas wanted the marriage to happen soon. Henry did not seem to care that Maria was engaged. He kept talking to her and smiling at her in a secret way. I saw it, but I said nothing. One day, everyone at Mansfield Park wanted to act in a small play. It was called Lovers' Vows. Tom said it would be fun. They all chose parts and started to prepare, but I felt it was wrong. Sir Thomas was away from home, and Edmund said he was not sure if his father would approve. Still, they continued. Henry and Maria played together in the play, and their words were too close, too warm. I felt uneasy. Edmund tried to stop the play, but Mary asked him to take a part in it. At last, he agreed. I was sad to see it. Before the play could be performed, Sir Thomas came back home. Everyone was afraid. He was angry that they planned a play without his permission. The play stopped at once. Henry and Mary left soon after. Maria married Mr. Rushworth as her father wished. Julia looked for her own chance to find a husband. Life became quiet again. I spent more time reading and walking in the garden. I often thought of Edmund. He was kind as always, but I could see that he still liked Mary Crawford. I tried to hide my own feelings. I did not want anyone to know that I loved him. It was a love I kept inside my heart, silent and secret. Some weeks later, Sir Thomas said that Henry Crawford had returned. I felt uneasy when I heard his name. He visited often and spoke kindly to everyone. He seemed to have changed. One day, he talked to me. He said he wanted to know me better. I was surprised and did not know what to say. He said I was gentle and good, very different from other women. I did not believe him. I thought he only wanted to play another game. But Henry did not stop. He began to visit every day. Lady Bertram smiled and said, "Mr. Crawford likes you, Fanny." Edmund said nothing. Sir Thomas was happy. He wanted me to accept Henry if he asked to marry me, but I felt afraid. I did not trust Henry. I could not forget how he behaved with Maria and Julia. One evening, Henry asked to speak to me alone. He said he loved me. He wanted to marry me and make me happy. I was quiet for a long time. Then I said softly, "No, I cannot marry you." His face changed. He was shocked. "Why, Fanny, you do not love me?" I said, "I cannot love a man who does not act with honor." He tried to smile, but I saw anger in his eyes. Later, Sir Thomas was very upset. He said I was foolish. He said I did not understand what I refused. But I could not change my mind. I stayed strong, even when I cried alone at night. At that time, Edmund went away for a short visit. He wanted to see Mary again. I felt lonely and sad, but I tried to keep my heart calm. Henry left Mansfield Park soon after, but he said he would return. I hoped he would forget me. That winter, Sir Thomas decided to send me to my parents' house for a few months. He wanted me to remember where I came from. I said goodbye to everyone and returned to the small house in the city. My family was kind, but life there was noisy and rough. I missed Mansfield Park. I missed the peace, the books, the garden, and I missed Edmund most of all. Before I continue rest of the story, please like, subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. Life at my parents' house was not easy. There were too many children and too little space. The rooms were small and noisy. My mother was kind but tired. My father spoke loudly and often argued. I tried to help with the little ones, but I missed the quiet life at Mansfield Park. I missed my books, the garden, and my calm room. Most of all, I missed Edmund. Sometimes, when I sat alone at night, I thought of his gentle voice and kind eyes. I wished to see him again, but I did not know when that would happen. One morning, a letter came for me. It was from Lady Bertram. She wrote that everyone at Mansfield Park missed me. At the end of the letter, there was a short note from Edmund. He said he hoped I was well. I read his words many times. My heart felt warm again. A few weeks later, another letter arrived. This one was from Henry Crawford. He wrote that he could not forget me. He said he still wished to marry me. He said he would prove that his love was true. I felt troubled. I still did not trust him. He was a man who played with feelings, but his letter was polite and respectful. I decided to say nothing. I did not answer him. Soon after, a carriage stopped in front of our house. To my surprise, Henry Crawford stepped out. He smiled and said, "I came to see you, Miss Price." My mother was very happy to have a rich visitor. She said, "Please, come in." I felt nervous and did not know what to do. Henry spoke kindly to everyone. He played with my younger brothers and told stories. He made everyone laugh. My mother said he was a charming man, but I stayed quiet. Henry said to me, "Fanny, I only came to see you. I want to show that I am honest now." I looked at him and said, "You should not have come." He smiled, but there was sadness in his eyes. "Please believe me," he said. I love you truly." I said softly, "You do not know what true love is." Then I turned away. A few days later, I received a letter from Sir Thomas. He asked me to come back to Mansfield Park. Lady Bertram missed me, and Edmund wanted to see me again. My heart felt full. I packed my things and said goodbye to my family. When I reached Mansfield Park, Lady Bertram welcomed me with open arms. "My dear Fanny, the house is not the same without you," she said. I was happy to see her again. Edmund came soon after. He looked tired but smiled kindly. "It is good to have you home," he said. I was happy, but I could see a shadow in his eyes. I knew he had been thinking of Mary Crawford. Days passed quietly. Henry came again to visit the Bertrams. Everyone was kind to him. Sir Thomas now liked him very much. Even Edmund said that Henry seemed changed. Henry spoke to me again about love. He said, "I will wait for you, Fanny. I only want your heart." I answered gently, "Please do not wait for something that will never come." Henry did not give up. He stayed near, trying to win my trust. I saw that he behaved better now. He visited the poor, helped the servants, and spoke with respect. I began to think maybe he truly wished to change, but still, I could not forget how he treated Maria and Julia before. I could not open my heart to him. One day, Edmund received a letter from Mary Crawford. She was in London and asked him to visit. I could see hope in his face. He said, "Fanny, I believe Mary has a kind heart. I want to help her understand what is right." I said nothing, but my heart felt heavy. I wished he could see that Mary's heart was not like his. Soon, bad news came from London. Maria, who was married to Mr. Rushworth, had run away. She had gone with Henry Crawford. The news was a shock to everyone. Sir Thomas was angry and sad. Lady Bertram cried all day. Edmund sat in silence. I could not believe it. I had been right not to trust Henry. Sir Thomas said in a low voice, "Fanny, you were wiser than us all. You saw what we did not see." I did not feel proud. I only felt pain for the family. Mr. Rushworth went to court to end his marriage. Maria was lost to us. Julia also left home with another man. Lady Bertram became weak and quiet. Mary Crawford wrote to Edmund. In her letter, she said that Maria and Henry should not be blamed too much. She said people would forget the scandal soon. Edmund was shocked. He thought she would be sad and ashamed. Instead, she only cared about what people said, not what was right or wrong. After reading the letter, Edmund's face turned pale. "Now I understand her true heart," he said. "I cannot love her any more." I wanted to comfort him, but I did not know how. I said softly, "You will find peace again. You are good and honest. That will guide you." He smiled sadly. "Thank you, Fanny. You always see what is true." Days passed, and the house felt quiet and cold. Maria and Julia were gone. Tom was sick from his wild life and needed care. I helped Lady Bertram every day. I read to her and kept her company. Edmund spent more time at home now. He often talked with me. Sometimes we walked in the garden like before. One evening, Edmund said, "Fanny, I see now how blind I was. I thought I loved Mary, but she never understood me. You have always been by my side, always kind, always honest. I cannot imagine my life without you." My heart beat fast, but I stayed still. He took my hand and said softly, "Will you marry me, Fanny?" I looked at him with tears in my eyes. "Yes," I said. "I will." Sir Thomas was happy when he heard the news. Lady Bertram smiled and said, "I always knew you were meant for each other." I did not speak, but I felt deep joy. I was not the poor little girl anymore. I was part of the family, not by kindness, but by love. Some months later, Edmund and I were married. The day was simple and quiet. There were no grand guests, no fine clothes, only smiles and peace. Edmund became a clergyman in a small parish near Mansfield Park. We lived in a modest house, close to Lady Bertram, who needed us. We were happy there. Sometimes I thought of the past, my small room, my shyness, and my fears. I remembered how far I had come. I was still the same Fanny, gentle and quiet, but now I had love and respect. Edmund and I lived a calm and honest life. Maria and Julia never returned home. They lived far away, and their lives were lonely. Sir Thomas never forgot what happened, but he was kinder and wiser now. He said one day, "Fanny, you taught us all what true goodness means." I smiled and thanked him. In my heart, I felt peace. I had come to Mansfield Park as a small and frightened girl. I had been poor and shy, but time and truth changed everything. I found my place, my voice, and my happiness. Love had come to me quietly, just as I had lived, quietly and true. My new life with Edmund was peaceful. We lived in a small house close to Mansfield Park. Every morning, Edmund went to the church. He worked hard and helped many people. I took care of our home and sometimes visited Lady Bertram. She still liked me to read to her, just as before. She often said, "You are my comfort, Fanny." I smiled and felt thankful. Sir Thomas visited often. He was still serious, but he spoke to me with warmth. One day he said, "Fanny, you have brought peace to this family. You have made Edmund a happy man. You have made me proud." His words touched my heart. I said, "Thank you, sir. I only did what I could." Tom became better after his long illness. He stopped drinking and became kinder. He said to Edmund once, "You and Fanny are the best part of our home now." Edmund smiled and said, "We only want to make Father proud." Sometimes I thought about the past. I remembered the day I first came to Mansfield Park, a small, shy girl from a poor home. I remembered how afraid I felt and how strange everything looked. I also remembered the kindness that changed my life. Edmund's gentle words, his patience, and his care gave me strength. I learned that love does not need to be loud. True love grows slowly with trust and goodness. I never dreamed of fine dresses or parties. I only wished for peace, honesty, and a kind heart beside me. And that wish came true. Maria lived far away with her Aunt Mrs. Norris. They both left Mansfield Park and never returned. People rarely spoke about them. Julia lived with her husband in another town. They were quiet and not close to the family anymore. Lady Bertram grew older but stayed calm and gentle. Sir Thomas worked less now and spent more time reading. He said often, "We have all learned from our mistakes." Sometimes I thought about Henry and Mary Crawford. They had charm and beauty, but not peace. They never found real happiness. I felt sorry for them, but I could not forget how their choices brought pain. My greatest joy was in simple days, walking with Edmund in the garden, reading by the fire, or watching the sunset from our small window. We did not have much money, but we had enough. We had love, respect, and trust. That was all we needed. One evening, as we sat together, Edmund said softly, "Do you remember when you first came here?" I smiled and said, "Yes, I was afraid of everyone." He laughed gently. "And now you are the heart of Mansfield Park." I felt tears in my eyes and said, "Home is not a place. It is the people we love." Years passed quietly. Our life was not grand, but it was good. Sometimes when I saw the sunlight on the old house, I felt thankful for everything, the pain, the lessons, the kindness. They made me who I was. I came as a poor girl, but I left behind the fear. I had found my voice, my place, and my peace. I often thought that happiness is not given by wealth or beauty. It comes from doing what is right and being true to your heart. I learned this at Mansfield Park, and for that, I was forever grateful. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and subscribe to English Medium Stories. Stay with us for more classic stories in easy English. Ta. My name is Fancy Day. I came to the village of Mellstock in the summer when the trees were green and the sky was clear. I came with my father. His name was Geoffrey Day. He worked as a carrier. We lived in a small cottage near the lane that led to the church. The people in the village did not know me before. They said I was new and young. Some of them smiled when they saw me. Some looked curious. I did not mind. I liked new places and I liked to teach. I became the new school teacher in Mellstock. The school was small and old, with wooden walls and a large window that let in the morning sun. Every day I taught the village children to read and write. They liked me and I liked them. They brought me flowers and sang songs in the yard. I felt happy to have a place where I could teach and be useful, but I also liked beautiful things. I liked music, dresses, and laughter. My father said I had a soft heart and a strong will. Maybe he was right. On Sundays, I went to church. It was a pretty place on the hill with big trees around it. There was a small choir made of local men who sang during the service. They were kind, simple men who loved music more than anything. Among them was a young man named Dick Dewey. He had bright eyes and a gentle smile. His father, Reuben Dewey, led the choir. Dick was quiet at first, but I could see he noticed me. Sometimes when he sang, his eyes met mine, and I looked away quickly, pretending I did not see. But I did. I always did. One morning after church, Dick walked with me down the path. He carried a bunch of flowers in his hand. He said they were from his mother's garden. He gave them to me and smiled. "They look better with you," he said. I laughed and thanked him. He walked beside me for a while. He talked about the choir, the work in the fields, and the life in the village. I liked his voice. It was calm and honest. When we reached my gate, he stopped and said, "Miss Day, may I see you again?" I smiled and said softly, "Maybe." Then I went inside. My heart beat fast. I did not want to like him so soon, but I did. Life in Mellstock was simple. The villagers were kind and curious. They liked to talk and share news. When they spoke about me, they said I was the prettiest girl in the village. Some said I was proud. Some said I was kind. Maybe I was both. I liked to look nice, to wear a pretty ribbon, and to play the piano in the evenings. I had been to the town before. I had seen fine clothes and big houses. Part of me wanted that life. But in Mellstock, life was quiet and full of small joys. As the weeks passed, Dick came to the school often. Sometimes he brought small gifts, like apples or books for the children. Sometimes he came just to talk. He told me stories about his work and his family. He had a warm heart. He was not rich, but he was kind and honest. When he laughed, his eyes shone. I began to wait for him. When I saw him walking toward the school, I felt a strange happiness in my chest. I tried not to show it, but I could not hide it from myself. One evening, there was a small dance at the village hall. Everyone came, dressed in their best clothes. I wore a white dress with blue ribbons. My father said I looked like a lady. The music started, and I danced with some of the men. When Dick came to ask me, I smiled and said yes. We danced together for a long time. His hands were gentle. His eyes were kind. I felt happy, light, and safe. When the music stopped, he asked if he could walk me home. I said yes again. The night was cool and quiet. The stars shone bright above us. We walked slowly along the lane. He told me about his dream to buy a small house one day and have a family. I listened in silence. Then he stopped and looked at me. "Miss Day," he said softly. "Fancy. I think I love you." My heart jumped. I wanted to answer, but I did not know what to say. I liked him. I liked him very much. But I also thought of my life, of the future, of the things I wanted. I smiled and said, "You should not speak so soon, Mr. Dewey." He looked sad but did not argue. He said good night and walked away slowly. I watched him go, feeling both happy and afraid. In the days that followed, I could not stop thinking about him. When I saw him in the village, he smiled shyly and lifted his hat. I smiled back. People started to talk. They said Dick Dewey liked me. They said we would marry. I laughed when I heard them, but my cheeks grew warm. My father liked Dick too. He said Dick was a good man with a good heart. But he also said, "Remember, my girl, love is not the only thing in life. You must think about your future." I knew he meant money. We were not poor, but we were not rich. Dick worked hard, but he was only a carrier's son. Then one Sunday, a new man came to the church. His name was Mr. Maybold. He was the new vicar. He was young, polite, and well-educated. Everyone liked him. He spoke kindly and smiled often. He soon learned that I could play the piano well. He asked me to help with the church music. I was happy to do so. When I played, he stood near the organ and turned the pages for me. He said my playing was lovely. His words made me blush. He was not like Dick. He spoke softly, with careful words. He lived in a fine house and had books, paintings, and everything I admired. As time went on, I felt confused. Dick was sweet and honest. Mr. Maybold was kind and clever. They were both good men, but they were so different. Dick spoke from the heart. Mr. Maybold spoke from the mind. Dick's hands were rough from work. Mr. Maybold's were smooth and white. When I walked with Dick, I felt warm and safe. When I talked with Mr. Maybold, I felt proud and admired. My heart began to feel divided, though I told no one. One evening, when I walked home from the church, Dick was waiting by the gate. He looked serious. "Fancy," he said, "you have been busy at the church lately. You talk with the vicar a lot." I smiled, but he did not. "Do you like him?" he asked. I looked at him, trying to find the right words. "He is kind," I said. "He helps me with the music." Dick's eyes grew sad. "And do you love him?" he asked quietly. My heart hurt. "No," I said quickly. "I don't." But my voice was not strong. He looked at me for a long time, then said, "I love you, Fancy. I don't have fine clothes or big words, but I love you with all my heart." I wanted to cry. I wanted to say that I loved him too, but fear stopped me. I was afraid of choosing wrong, afraid of giving my life to someone who might never give me more than love. That night, I could not sleep. I sat by the window and looked at the moon. The world was quiet, and I felt small inside it. I thought about Dick and the vicar, about love and life, about what I truly wanted. My heart said one thing, my mind said another. I was young, and I wanted everything: love, happiness, comfort, and respect. But I knew I could not have them all. Not in Mellstock. Not as a simple school teacher. The next morning, I walked to school with a heavy heart. The children's laughter made me smile for a moment, but inside, I felt lost. When Dick passed by, he waved and smiled. I smiled back, but I did not move toward him. I was still not sure of my heart. Before I continue rest of the story, please like, subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. The days passed slowly after that evening. I tried to act normal at school. I taught the children, smiled, and sang with them. But my heart was not calm. When I saw Dick in the village, he always smiled and said hello. I smiled back, but I could see the hurt in his eyes. He spoke less now. He did not come to the school anymore. I missed him, but I told myself it was better this way. Maybe it was better to think with my head, not my heart. Mr. Maybold visited the school sometimes to see how the children were learning. He was kind to them and kind to me. He liked to talk about books and music. I liked to listen. His voice was soft and gentle. One afternoon, when the children left, he stayed behind. We stood near the piano. He said quietly, "Miss Day, I enjoy our time together. You are not only a good teacher, you are a good person." I felt my face grow warm. I did not know what to say. He smiled and added, "I hope we can be friends. Perhaps more than friends." My hands trembled a little. I wanted to answer, but I stayed silent. When he left, I sat down and looked at the piano keys. My heart was beating fast. I thought of Dick and how he said he loved me. I thought of Mr. Maybold and his calm, respectful voice. One man made me feel safe. The other made me feel seen. I was young and did not understand my own heart. I told myself that time would help me see the truth. One evening, my father came home from the village inn. He was smiling. "Fancy," he said. "I met Mr. Shiner today. He is a fine man with good land and money. He asked about you." I frowned. "What did you tell him?" I asked. "I said you are not promised to anyone yet," he said. "He might come calling soon." I did not say anything. I did not want another man to think of me that way. I already had too much on my mind. A week later, Mr. Shiner came to our cottage. He was tall and confident. He spoke loudly and laughed often. My father liked him. He talked about his farm and his plans to buy more land. Then he turned to me and said, "Miss Day, you would look well in my big house. You could leave this small school and live comfortably." I smiled politely but said nothing. Inside, I felt cold. He spoke as if I were a thing to buy, not a person to love. After he left, my father said, "You should think about it, Fancy. He can give you a good life." I shook my head. "I do not love him, Father." He sighed, but said no more. The next Sunday, I went to church as usual. The choir sang beautifully, and Dick's voice was strong and clear. I tried not to look at him, but my eyes found him anyway. After the service, he walked out alone. I wanted to speak to him, but Mr. Maybold came to me first. He asked if I could stay a few minutes to practice a new hymn. I agreed. We stayed in the church after everyone left. The evening light came through the window. He stood close to me as I played. When the song ended, he said softly, "Fancy, I must tell you something. I love you." My hands froze on the piano. I looked at him, surprised. He continued, "I know it is sudden, but I cannot hide it. You are everything I admire. You are gentle, clever, and beautiful. I want to take care of you." His voice was warm and honest. My heart began to race. I wanted to answer, but I could not speak. He looked into my eyes and said, "Please, think about it. I will not hurry you." Then he left the church, and I sat there alone. That night, I walked home under the moonlight. My mind was full of thoughts. The vicar loved me. He had a good house, a good name, and a good heart. My father would be happy if I married him. But my heart still remembered Dick. I saw his smile, his kind eyes, and the way he held the flowers that day by the school. I knew he truly loved me. But he was poor, and life with him would be hard. I did not know what to do. Days turned into weeks. Mr. Maybold waited for my answer. Dick did not come to see me anymore. I missed him more than I could say. One afternoon, I decided to walk through the fields to clear my head. The air was fresh, and the sound of birds filled the trees. As I reached the old oak near the stream, I saw Dick standing there. My heart stopped for a moment. He turned and saw me. We both froze, unsure of what to say. Then he smiled a little and said, "Good afternoon." "Fancy." I smiled back. "Good afternoon, Mr. Dewey." We stood there, silent for a moment. Then he said, "I was waiting for you. I wanted to talk." His voice was calm but sad. "I heard things," he said. "They say the vicar loves you. Is it true?" I looked down. "He told me so," I said softly. Dick looked away. "And what about you? Do you love him?" I opened my mouth, but no words came. I did not want to lie, but I did not want to hurt him either. He looked back at me, his eyes full of pain. "I understand," he said. "You will choose him. He can give you what I cannot." His words cut my heart. "No, Dick," I said quickly. "You don't understand. I have not chosen anyone. I am confused." Tears filled my eyes. He looked at me gently. "I don't have much fancy," he said, "but I have a heart that belongs only to you. I will never stop loving you." He turned to leave, but I caught his arm. "Please, don't go," I said. "I need time." He looked at me sadly and said, "I'll wait, but not forever." Then he walked away down the path, and I stood there watching him until he was gone. When I returned home, my father saw my red eyes. "Fancy," he said softly, "you must decide soon. You can't have both love and comfort. You must choose one." I went to my room and sat by the window. I watched the sunset and thought about his words. He was right. I had to choose. But which life did I want? The safe, quiet life with the vicar, or the warm, honest life with Dick? That night, I dreamed of the church. I dreamed of singing with the choir, of the faces of the children at school, of Dick's smile and the vicar's kind eyes. When I woke up, my heart hurt. I prayed for a sign, something to show me what was right. The next day there was a storm. The wind blew hard, and the rain fell without stop. The church roof was leaking, so I went with Mr. Maybold to see it. We stood together under an umbrella, looking at the damage. He said, "You should not be out in this weather, Fancy. You might catch cold." His voice was full of care. I smiled weakly. When we walked back to the vicarage, he stopped at the gate. "Have you thought about what I said?" he asked gently. I looked at him and said, "Yes, I have thought a lot." He waited, but I could not give him the answer he wanted. I said softly, "You are very kind, Mr. Maybold, but my heart is not ready." He looked sad but nodded. "I understand," he said. "You deserve happiness, wherever it is." That evening, when the rain stopped, I went for a walk. The air smelled fresh and clean. The path was muddy and my shoes were wet, but I did not care. I needed to think. As I walked past the trees, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned and saw Dick again. He was holding his hat in his hand. "Fancy," he said. "I thought I lost you." My heart felt full. "You didn't," I said. He looked at me with hope. "Then tell me, do you love me?" I took a deep breath and looked into his eyes. "Yes," I said quietly. "I do." From that night, things were not the same. Dick and I started to meet again. We walked by the stream and talked about small things. He told me about his work and his dreams. I listened and felt calm. When he laughed, I laughed too. My heart was light again. The world looked brighter. I knew I loved him. I knew I wanted to be with him. When my father learned about it, he was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "You really love him?" I said, "Yes." "Then I will not stop you," he said. "But remember, love alone will not fill your house. You must be strong and wise." I promised him I would be. Soon everyone in Mellstock knew that I was going to marry Dick Dewey. The villagers smiled when they saw us together. Some said I made a good choice. Some said I could have married a richer man. I did not care. I only cared that I loved him and he loved me. We married on a clear morning in the small church. The choir sang and the bells rang across the fields. I wore a simple white dress, and Dick looked handsome in his best coat. When I walked down the aisle, I saw Mr. Maybold standing at the back of the church. His face was calm, but his eyes were sad. After the service, he came to us and said, "May you both be happy." His voice was kind. I thanked him quietly. After the wedding, we went to live in a small cottage near the fields. It was not big, but it was warm and clean. Dick worked hard, and I kept the house. We did not have much money, but we had peace. I cooked, cleaned, and sometimes taught the children of the village in our kitchen. Dick came home tired but smiling. He always kissed me and said, "It feels good to be home." At night, we sat by the fire. He talked about his day, and I played soft tunes on my small piano. Life was simple and quiet. Sometimes I thought about my past, about the vicar, the school, and the things I once wanted. But when I looked at Dick, I felt thankful. He loved me with all his heart. He never hid his feelings. He never made me doubt his care. Yet deep inside me, there was a small voice that sometimes spoke when the night was still. It asked, "Did I choose the life I wanted?" I did not answer that voice. I told myself I was happy, and I truly was. But I also knew I had dreams that were still sleeping inside me. Dreams of travel, music, and a life beyond the fields. One evening, I told Dick that I missed teaching. He smiled and said, "Then teach again, my love. I want you to be happy." His words touched my heart. He always thought about me before himself. That night, I realized what real love was. It was not only soft words or music. It was care. It was giving without asking. It was staying even when life was hard. Years later, when I looked back on our early days, I saw them like a song, sweet, simple, and full of light. I had once wondered if I made the right choice, but time showed me that I did, because in Dick's quiet heart, I found peace. And though the world outside changed, our love stayed gentle like the green wood that stood behind our home. Sometimes I still walk under those trees. The wind moves through the leaves, and I hear the same soft song that played when I first met him. I smile and whisper, "Under the green wood tree, I found my heart."